Every year, thousands of people serve in Israel's military. Some become exceptional soldiers. Some become brilliant analysts. Some prove they can stay calm when everyone else is falling apart. Most of them never realize someone is quietly watching, not to arrest them, not to reward them, but to answer one question. Could this person live a life that officially doesn't exist? The world's most secretive intelligence agencies don't advertise for talent. They find it. And when they finally reach out, they already know almost everything about you, your strengths, your weaknesses, the mistakes you thought no one ever noticed. Out of the thousands who are quietly evaluated, only a tiny fraction are invited for a conversation, and even fewer survive what comes next. This is the 10-level journey of a Mossad operative, from an ordinary citizen to a ghost with a different name, a different life, and a job the world will never officially acknowledge. This isn't a story about gadgets or movie-style car chases. It's a story about patience, trust, sacrifice, and the extraordinary price of living a life built entirely on secrets. This is the path to becoming a Mossad agent. Let's begin with Level 1. Level 1. A tap on the shoulder. You never decide to join the Mossad. The Mossad decides to find you. There are no job advertisements, no online application, no recruitment office you can walk into. If you search for "How do I become a Mossad agent?" you'll find hundreds of theories, but almost none of them are true, because the people the Mossad wants usually aren't looking for the Mossad at all. Your journey began years before this moment, maybe during your military service, maybe while solving problems no one else could, maybe because you stayed calm when everyone around you lost control. Without realizing it, someone had already taken notice. Every decision you made, every mission you completed, every report you wrote, quietly became part of a much bigger picture. One afternoon, you receive an invitation to meet someone for coffee. Nothing feels unusual. No official letter, no government vehicle. Just a simple meeting at an ordinary cafe. Across the table sits a man in his late 40s, well-dressed, calm, almost forgettable. He introduces himself as Ronan. Whether that's his real name, you'll never know. The conversation begins casually. He asks about your childhood, your military service, your ambitions. At first, it feels like a friendly conversation. Then something changes. Ronan mentions your final military evaluation, a mission that was never made public, a teacher you had years ago, even an argument you had with your closest friend back in school. Details no stranger should ever know. That's the moment you realize this isn't an interview, it's an assessment. And somehow, you've been taking it for years. Ronan never tries to impress you. He never mentions the Mossad. He never promises adventure. Instead, he watches, not your answers, but the way you answer, how long you hesitate, how you react under pressure, whether your emotions stay under control. Because in intelligence work, your behavior reveals far more than your words. Nearly 2 hours pass. The coffee has gone cold. The cafe is almost empty. Ronan quietly stands up, straightens his jacket, looks directly into your eyes, and says a single sentence you'll remember for the rest of your life. "We'd like you to come in for a conversation." Then he pauses. One final instruction. Tell no one. No explanation. No contract. No guarantee you'll ever see him again. He simply walks away, leaving you alone with a question that will change everything. Do you walk away, or do you follow the path that almost no one is ever invited to take? Because from this moment on, your old life has already begun to disappear. You just don't know it yet. Level 2, the Midrasha. The phone rings 3 days later. No greeting, no introduction, just a time, a location, and one simple instruction. Be there alone. You arrive before sunrise, no signs, no government building, no military checkpoint, just an ordinary street corner where nothing seems out of place. A black SUV pulls up. The rear door unlocks. No one says a word. Your phone is switched off, then sealed inside a small envelope. For the first time, you're completely disconnected from the outside world. As the city disappears behind you, one thought keeps replaying in your mind. What exactly have I agreed to? Nearly an hour later, the vehicle stops behind a heavily guarded compound. No welcome sign, no flags, no indication that one of the world's most secretive intelligence schools is hidden behind these walls. This place has a name, the Midrasha. In Hebrew, it simply means the school. But there is nothing ordinary about what happens here. The moment you step inside, you stop being treated like a recruit. You become a puzzle, one the instructors intend to solve. The first room isn't a classroom, it's a polygraph room. A technician asks you to sit down. Sensors are attached to your hands, your chest, your fingertips. Then the questions begin. Some are simple. What's your name? Have you ever lied to your family? Others catch you completely off guard. What's your greatest fear? What's the worst thing you've ever done? Then, they ask the same questions again and again for 4 straight hours. Not because they're looking for the truth, they already know most of it. They're studying something far more valuable. How your body reacts when you're uncomfortable, how your breathing changes, how long you pause before answering. Because if your instructors can detect your lies, one day, so can your enemies. The next morning, the real training begins. You aren't taught how to shoot, not yet. You're taught how to observe. An instructor places 20 random objects on a table. You study them for 30 seconds. The objects disappear. Now list every single one. Most recruits remember 10. The best remember 18. You remember 13. Not good enough. By lunchtime, you're learning surveillance detection. By evening, memory drills, foreign languages, psychology, body language, interrogation resistance. Every hour pushes you further than the last. Sleep becomes a luxury. Mistakes become lessons, and excuses disappear completely. Among the recruits, one person immediately stands out. His name is Omer, former Special Forces, confident, disciplined, always one step ahead. At first, he feels like your biggest competition, but the instructors have a different plan. Some exercises force you to compete, others force you to trust each other completely. Because out in the field, your survival may depend on someone you've only known for a few months. Weeks turn into months. The pressure never eases. One by one, people begin to disappear. Some fail the psychological evaluations. Some can't handle the stress. Others are quietly told they're no longer needed. No speeches, no second chances. Just an empty chair in the classroom the next morning. That's how you learn the first unwritten rule of the Midrasha. No one is guaranteed to graduate. One evening, an instructor gathers the remaining recruits. He places an old black and white photograph on the table. It shows a man sitting inside a glass booth during a historic trial. The instructor looks around the room, then says, "Years ago, Mossad agents spent months tracking one man across continents. They didn't rush. They didn't make headlines. They waited until they had only one chance, and they got it right." The room falls silent. The lesson isn't about history, it's about patience. In this profession, the person willing to wait the longest usually wins. 14 months after you first walked through those gates, you finally understand what the Midrasha was really designed to do. It wasn't trying to teach you how to become someone else. It was stripping away everything unnecessary, until only one version of you remained: calm, patient, invisible, and ready for the world outside. Because graduation isn't the finish line. It's the beginning of a life where every mistake can become an international incident, and your next lesson won't take place inside a classroom. Level 3, Syanim and the Art of Cover. Graduation doesn't mean you've become a Mossad officer. It simply means the real training can finally begin. Until now, you've been learning how to survive. From this moment forward, you'll learn how to disappear. Because every successful spy has one thing in common: a life so ordinary, no one ever thinks to question it. Inside the Mossad, that life is called your cover, and building it is an art. Your instructors lead you into a small office. A passport is placed on the table. You pick it up. The face is yours. The name isn't. For the first time, you're looking at a person who doesn't exist. A man with a different birthday, a different career, a different address, a different life. And before long, you'll know that life better than your own. You don't just memorize a fake identity, you live it. Where did you go to university? What's your favorite football team? Which cafe do you visit every Friday? What street did you grow up on? How many windows were in your childhood home? Every answer must come naturally, because the greatest danger isn't being interrogated, it's being caught off guard by an ordinary conversation. One mistake, one hesitation, one inconsistent answer. That's all it takes for someone to become suspicious. So day after day, you rehearse again and again, until your fake memories begin to feel real. Then your instructor asks a question you've never considered. What happens if your passport is stolen? You answer, confidently, "I'll report it." He shakes his head. No. You'll report it exactly the way your new identity would. Only then do you understand. You're no longer pretending to be someone else. You're thinking like them, living like them, becoming them. But a cover identity alone isn't enough. Every undercover officer needs help. Quiet help. Invisible help. That's when you learn about one of the Mossad's most closely guarded secrets, the Syanim. The word means helpers. Thousands of ordinary Jewish volunteers living across the world. Business owners, doctors, lawyers, mechanics, hotel managers, people living completely normal lives. Most of them receive no salary, no medals, no public recognition, and many never know the full story behind the assistance they provide. A doctor quietly treats an injured traveler without asking unnecessary questions. A car rental manager finds a vehicle at the last minute. A landlord rents an apartment with almost no paperwork.
The last video rental, please.
Each task seems small, almost insignificant, but together, they form an invisible support network stretching across continents. It's one of the reasons Mossad operations can move so quickly, without drawing attention. Your first assignment is simple. Travel under your new identity. No mission, no surveillance, no secret meeting. Just live. Order coffee. Check into a hotel. Speak with strangers. Answer questions naturally. If someone asks what you do for a living, you don't think. You answer. If they ask where you're from, you smile, because you've answered that question 100 times during training. Days later, your instructors review every moment. Not your passport, not your tickets, you. Did your body language change? Did your voice hesitate? Did your eyes drift away before answering? Even the smallest crack in your performance is noticed, because in the real world, nobody catches great spies through dramatic interrogations. They catch them through tiny mistakes, a forgotten detail, a nervous glance, an answer that comes half a second too late. Weeks become months. Eventually, your real name begins to feel strangely unfamiliar. Sometimes, you almost introduce yourself using your cover name without thinking. And that's exactly what your instructors wanted, because the strongest cover isn't the one you memorize. It's the one you believe. Only then can you convince everyone else. As your final evaluation ends, your instructor closes your file, looks directly at you, and quietly says, "Congratulations, you're finally ready to leave the classroom. Now it's time to carry secrets that could change nations." Because your next assignment won't be about pretending to be someone else. It will be about protecting information that can never fall into the wrong hands. Welcome to the courier years. Level 4, the courier years. By the time you leave the Midrasha, you finally have a real assignment. But it isn't the kind you imagined. No high-speed chases, no hidden weapons, no dramatic confrontations. Instead, you're given something much more dangerous, someone else's secret. Before you can recruit spies, before you can run operations, you first have to prove one thing, that you can be trusted. Because in the intelligence world, one careless mistake doesn't just end a mission, it can expose an entire network. This stage of your career is known as the courier years. It's where every movement, every decision, and every second matters. Your new supervisor is a woman named Dahlia, 15 years in the field, fluent in 4 languages, calm under pressure, and so ordinary looking. You could walk past her every day for a year without remembering her face. In the Mossad, that's considered a compliment. On your very first morning, she slides a folded city map across the table, then asks a simple question. "Tell me the fastest way from here to the train station." You answer. She smiles for the first time, then quietly tears the map in half. "Wrong question," she says. "The fastest route isn't always the safest." That lesson stays with you, because spies don't travel from point A to point B. They travel in ways that reveal whether someone is following them. This technique is called a surveillance detection route, a carefully planned path designed to expose anyone watching you. Some days, you'll walk into a bookstore, leave through another exit, take a crowded subway, get off after one stop, cross the street, enter a cafe, order nothing, and leave 5 minutes later. To an ordinary person, it looks completely random. To an intelligence officer, every step has a purpose. Weeks later, Dahlia hands you your first real mission. No weapons, no gadgets, just one sentence. Go to locker 27. Collect what's inside. Deliver the message. Come back. That's it. You arrive at the train station during rush hour. Thousands of people surround you. Businessmen, students, families, tourists, everyone focused on their own lives. Exactly the kind of crowd where a professional spy disappears. You open locker 27. Inside, a plain brown envelope. No markings, no name, no instructions. You never open it, because it isn't yours to read. Your job isn't curiosity. Your job is trust. Hours later, you arrive at a small cafe. Outside, an elderly man is feeding pigeons. You sit on the bench beside him. Without making eye contact, you quietly say the sentence Dahlia gave you that morning. "The shipment has been delayed." The man nods once, stands up, walks away. The exchange lasts less than 10 seconds. No handshake, no envelope, no goodbye to everyone around you. Nothing happened, but somewhere, that single sentence changes the direction of an operation you'll never fully understand. As the weeks pass, The missions become harder. You carry encrypted messages, hidden storage devices. Sometimes, nothing at all, because the real delivery isn't an object. It's information stored only in your memory. Entire conversations, phone numbers, coordinates, names. You memorize everything, then erase it from your mind the moment the mission ends. Because the safest document is the one that never exists. One evening, Dahlia gives you an unexpected test. She tells you to meet a contact across the city. Halfway there, you notice the same man twice. Once outside a pharmacy, again near a subway entrance. Coincidence or surveillance? Your pulse rises, but your face doesn't change. You continue walking, following the exact surveillance detection route you practiced for months. 10 minutes later, the man is gone. Back at headquarters, Dahlia is waiting. She looks up from her notebook. Good. You noticed him. Then she reveals the truth. The man wasn't an enemy. He was another Mossad officer. The entire mission had been a test, because in this profession, the enemy rarely announces themselves, and sometimes the only way to know if you're ready is to make you believe you're already in danger. Months become a year, mission after mission. No headlines, no recognition, no medals, only quiet success. One afternoon, Dahlia closes your file. She doesn't congratulate you. She simply says, "You no longer carry other people's secrets. It's time to find people willing to give them to you." At first, you don't understand what she means. Then a new file is placed on your desk. Inside, a photograph, a name, a career, and a target. Because your next role won't be delivering intelligence. It will be convincing complete strangers to betray everything they've ever believed. Welcome to Level 5, Becoming a Katsa. Level 5, Becoming a Katsa. You've spent years learning how to disappear. Now, you must learn how to be unforgettable, because information doesn't come from computers. It comes from people. People with secrets, people with access, people with something to lose. And your job is to convince them to trust you more than the country they swore to protect. This is the moment you become a Katsa, a Mossad case officer, the people responsible for recruiting and managing human intelligence sources across the world. It sounds exciting. In reality, it's one of the loneliest jobs in intelligence, because every relationship you build starts with a lie. Your first assignment doesn't involve a terrorist or a military general. Your target is far less obvious. A middle-aged engineer working inside a government research facility. Every morning, he stops at the same coffee shop, orders the same drink, reads the newspaper, leaves at exactly 8:15. You don't approach him. Not yet, for weeks. You simply watch. You learn his routine, his habits, his favorite restaurant, the days he argues with his wife, the days he smiles after talking to his daughter. His entire life becomes a pattern, and patterns are predictable only after 2 months. Do you finally make your first move? Not with questions, not with secrets, just a simple accident. You accidentally bump into him. Coffee spills across the floor. You apologize, buy him another cup, exchange a few polite words, then you leave. Nothing more. The next meeting happens 2 weeks later. Another coincidence, or so he believes. This time, you talk for 5 minutes. The conversation isn't about politics or military projects. It's about football, travel, work, the weather. Completely ordinary things. Because trust isn't built through dramatic conversations. It's built one ordinary moment at a time. Months pass. The meetings become more frequent. He begins calling you a friend. He invites you to dinner. You meet his family, celebrate his birthday, listen to his frustrations, his dreams, his disappointments. Without realizing it, You've become one of the most important people in his life. Then one evening, he asks you a question. Can I trust you? You smile, because that's exactly what you've spent the last 11 months making him believe. Only now does the real operation begin. Inside the Mossad, every officer is taught a simple rule. People betray countries for only a handful of reasons: money, ideology, compromise, ego. Your job isn't to force someone into betrayal. It's to discover which door is already open. Some people want recognition. Some need financial help. Some feel abandoned by their own government. Others simply want someone to understand them. The best Katsa never manipulates people. He understands them. One quiet evening, your target slides a folder across the table. He doesn't say a word. Neither do you. Inside are documents marked confidential. Months of planning, hundreds of careful conversations, and countless calculated risks have all led to this single moment. You don't celebrate, because recruiting an asset is only the beginning. Now comes the difficult part: keeping them alive. Every meeting becomes dangerous. Every phone call carries risk. Every unexpected delay makes your heart beat faster. If your source is exposed, they disappear forever. And if you're identified, entire operations across multiple countries could collapse overnight. One afternoon, you return to headquarters. Dahlia is waiting. She takes the folder from your hands, places it inside a secure cabinet, then looks at you. Congratulations. You recruited your first source. She pauses, then quietly adds, now don't lose him. Those 4 words hit harder than any praise, because intelligence isn't measured by recruitment. It's measured by consistency. Years later, no one will remember how you recruited your first asset. They'll remember whether that asset was still producing valuable intelligence. In this profession, winning someone's trust is impressive. Keeping it is legendary. But while you're busy protecting one's secret, your own life is slowly beginning to fall apart. Because every day you spend living under a false identity. The people you love grow further away, and sooner or later, you'll be forced to choose between your mission and your real life. Welcome to Level 6, the double life.